Next, we have Matthew McConaughey, actor, producer, hardcore, UT Longhorn.
Fact. Yes. Woody, you coming up here, Woody?
Woody can come up.
Slide that over there, will you?
Woody is not going to testify.
Oh, he's got it.
You don't have to say this. You're social. Yeah.
Woody's always welcome.
First off, thank you, Madam Chair Huffman, Vice Chair Hinojosa, and members of this committee for the opportunity to appear before you today and testify in support of SB22. I want to thank everyone for being here. Both of us got to see many of you recently when Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick hosted us in his office and his reception room. I also want to say that I appreciate the Lieutenant Governor and our Senate Finance Chair Huffman for coming together and working to find a way and try and find a way to grow an industry that so many of us dream of and all of us do enjoy. Today, Monday, is it's our day off of working on a little series called Brothers. It's a family comedy that myself and Mr. Harrelson here are shooting out in Dripping Springs right now. It's a series that we both gave back 15% of our personal salaries to shoot here in Texas to keep us from having to go to Georgia. In this 10-episode series, which we are one episode into with 9 still to shoot, I want to give you a little example of the kind of money that productions can give Texas and Texans. We've already spent over $12 million on Texas goods and labor, and we are averaging over $2 million a week spend to date, with 12 weeks still scheduled to shoot. Now, most of you know me or know of me. I was born in Uvalde. I was raised in Longview. I went to college up the street at University of Texas, made my first film here. Then I went off to Hollywood for $2,000 in a U-Haul and made a career of making movies. And I still reside here with my family in Texas. Now, one of the only regrets of my 33-year career in film and television is not making more films, more of my films here in Texas, especially the ones that were about Texans or set in Texas. Now, it's my understanding that the rub against a film incentive in Texas is more philosophical than economical. You don't want to help a movie get made in Texas that throws rocks at Texas or Texans. Me neither. Somebody wants to do that, let them go shoot in some other incentivized state like Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana, or go to Malta and do it. But not here. I'm with you. So let's talk about the opportunity that we have with this bill. That if we do it right, how and why SB22 can be a sustainable and profitable investment for our state and for Texas residents. First off, and it's been alluded to already, but let's go over it again and hit some more points. The economic investment. Texas is an incredibly pro-business state. We've set up incentive programs that are attracting industries that provide well-paying jobs for the young men and women coming out of our public and higher education systems. And just like auto manufacturing or the finance industry or the tech industry and so many other businesses, the film industry can thrive in states who provide incentives to work there. So, how do these incentives, how are they good for our state? How do they pay the state of Texas back? How do they pay Texans back? As Adriana Cruz stated before me, every grant dollar awarded returns $4.69 to the state of Texas. That's a 469% ROI. That is money that's going to local Texas restaurants, hotels, coffee shops, dry cleaners, street rentals, home rentals, even Woody's barber.
Good one.
Gotcha. Threw one in there, babe. And look, as was stated before, we are not talking about only the big cities in Texas. This particular bill also gives extra incentives to shows being shot in rural areas that don't have the same advantages of the bigger cities. Secondly, let's talk about the investment in human capital. Look, if we pass this bill in Texas, we are immediately at the bargaining table for shooting more films and television and commercials in our state, immediately. Also, more Texans who left Texas and went to other incentivized states for work because there wasn't enough work here are going to move back because one, they'd rather live here, and two, now they can work here. But like you, I want to get even more Texas residents hired and employed. Ideally enough where we eventually don't have to bring in out-of-state labor at all to do the jobs needed. So I'm going to propose a bigger thought here. I'm going to propose doubling down on, if we pass this bill, what we can do. How do we do that? Number one, we train our own workforce. We partner with local community colleges and tech schools across the state of Texas, and we get Texan men and women trained and certified to learn the below-the-line trade jobs needed to make films. Now, we're talking 60 to 75% of the local spend. Jobs like electricians, lighting, construction, set designers, decorators, hair, makeup, painters, special effects, transportation, accountants, bookkeepers, all damn good paying jobs. So Texas can have a resident workforce that can grow with the rate of the productions that are going to come here. A workforce that we can expand and scale right here in Texas so more Texans have more jobs. For example, Taylor Sheridan already has a successful partnership with Tarrant Community College. 100% of the students coming out of that program are employed and getting employed, but a whole lot more needed. We need to scale this idea to more schools in Texas so we can provide a competent workforce wherever we need to film in our state. And look, we already do it for so many other industries who need workers. Why don't we do it for film, movies, and television? It's great jobs and it's great trade jobs. We just have to educate them and put them through the schools, and the schools are there. Let's talk about infrastructure. It was brought up a little bit earlier, but let's lean into this. Infrastructure. When you think of Texas as an industry, what do people think of? What do we think of? Oil and gas, right? Is it because we have the resources? Yeah. But other states have resources as well, and they don't compete with us. Why? Because here in Texas, we have the largest pipeline infrastructure in the nation. So the operators have bigger profit margins, and they're incentivized to produce here. Now, as far as infrastructure for film and television productions, a lot of it is already here. We have studios in Texas, but we're not currently using them to capacity because there's not enough production here yet. If we pass SB22 and we train a self-sustaining workforce, we will not only have full capacity in the production facilities that we already have, but we're going to need to build more. That means build more stages. That means build more pre-production facilities, more post-production facilities, which I believe leans into what you're talking about, the in process. We get them here in post-production, scoring our films, scoring our ads. Also editing. This is how Texas becomes its own profitable and self-sustaining industry. This is how Texas becomes more than just a destination for out-of-state productions. This is how Texas becomes more than just a tax-incentivized advertisement. Hey, come shoot here. If we do this, we begin to create our own industry. We do this, we start to create our own pipeline of film and television, which in turn means producers and financiers are not going to want to go to other states because they don't have the infrastructure that we'll have, and they're too expensive. We do this, and there's going to be a point. I want to say this again. We do this, and there will be a point where we are not going to need financial incentives from the state because the infrastructure will be in place, and that will be a major, major game changer. So let's ask everyone to think about it. What if Texas was a sustainable and profitable central dispatch for great storytelling through film and TV? It can be. That would be long-term return on investment with more Texans employed on every single production and more Texans telling stories worth being told. And lastly, what are commercials? What are film and television shows? What are they? They're storytelling. And last I checked, Hollywood does not have a trademark or a patent on telling a good story. I also know that we Texans take a lot of pride in being pretty damn good storytellers ourselves. So let's tell some. So people like myself, so people like Woody, and so many other above and below the line Texan artists, tradesmen and tradeswomen don't have to keep telling great stories in other states. Don't have to keep telling Texas stories in other states. I think we have a huge opportunity here, a huge challenge, that if we lean into it, we can make this a self-sustaining industry. I think we got to think a little bit bigger and think for the long haul. And that's why I'm for SB22, and that's why I hope you're going to be as well. Thank you.
Okay, any question, members? I think that was an excellent presentation. All the good reasons why, based on merit, as the creation of new jobs, set up infrastructure,
Yep.
And making sure that sometime in the future you can survive without any kind of
Yep.
help from the state. That's a great goal.
We have the schools to do it.
Sir Alvarado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McConaughey, thank you for being here. I think you're one of the greatest ambassadors that our state has. Tyler Perry's invested a lot in Atlanta and has a big studio there. Do you foresee that Texas has that same opportunity to be the home, not just of filmmaking, but of permanent movie studios?
Absolutely, that's up to us, for the reasons I stated right there. We passed this incentive. This is the kickstart. If we want to really lean into this and make this more than something just going to be around for a while, and we all talk about, oh, remember those years? We can lean into this. It's prime time to do so as well. We lean into it. The infrastructure, the work starts to come here. We get the infrastructure at capacity, and we get it built. A lot of the artists are going to, as mentioned, I think would move here. If we're talking about those above, there's a lot of creators that already live here. There were some others that would, great storytellers that would come here, and there would be no reason to leave the state. We could be, as I said, central dispatch from day one conception through pre-production, through production, to stay here in post-production and finish the process, to dispatch, distribution, and there we go. Then we go wide. But there's no reason that we couldn't build an infrastructure here and have competent workers at every level, pre, prod, and post, to be able to do so much of the work that needs to be done to make a film and tell a good story right here.
Okay. And I'm glad you talked about workforce, because to me, this is a workforce initiative that our state would be investing in.
Has to be.
This industry, according to Adriana's chart, it's been up and down. It's been very inconsistent in the level of funding. We've had some red lights. We've had some yellow lights. If we pass this, by your definition, would it be a green light?
Well, by my definition, it's a green light that can stay green. I think that's what we're talking about, because it has ebb and flowed. But one thing we haven't done, or other states haven't done to the capacity I want to do it, is lean into this workforce. To have the workers, tradesmen and women everywhere through Texas ready to go and keep up with the rate of productions being here, that's the self-sustaining prophecy right there. It will keep feeding itself. It will recycle. More productions will come. The longer we have the workforce, the more competent they're going to get, above and below the line. Then I'm saying we have a real pipeline. We have infrastructure. We have wood screws, not Velcro, in this deal, where it's a real industry and it works. It's engineered. We have to engineer it, and that starts with the workforce and the building of the infrastructure.
Thank you for the time and resources and energy you've already put into this effort. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to that thought, I just want to add as a reminder that the current budget includes $30 million for a higher education film workforce pilot program through the governor's
There we go.
office. So we're doing what we can to incentivize higher ed to really promote that program. I just wanted to add that.
Sir Safarini.
Thank you. I just have one question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McConaughey, at Edith Royal's 90th birthday party, you and I discussed this program at length, and we discussed the criticism that at that point in time it was perceived as an Austin-centric effort. Are you convinced that this particular bill will now make it a statewide effort?
It has to be, or it's not going to work. If this was central to Austin only, it doesn't work. We're talking about a contract, a deal with the taxpayers of Texas all over Texas. So Is Austin a hub where there's a lot of creativity coming out? Will it help some production to be made here in Austin? Absolutely. But there's already, which is specific to this bill, the extra incentive for the rural areas as well. A lot of those, what I'm saying is, no one's going, a lot of these productions aren't going to New Mexico to get Santa Fe as the big city or Albuquerque as the big city in the background. They're going to New Mexico for the rural areas that would be shot right here in Texas. Louisiana as well, Atlanta as well, Georgia. So if it was going to just help one city, then we didn't do our job. Then we were irresponsible with it. We are irresponsible if it's only helping one city. But that's up to us. Like I'm saying, lay down, the people, the work's going to come. And all the work's not set to be in a cosmopolitan growing city of Austin, Dallas, or Houston. A lot of stories are going to be in rural areas, but we got to get them. We got to get them here, and we got to have a workforce that can go fill the roles needed on those sets. So if it only helps one city or just the big cities, then I would say this did not work. It would not work. But that's up to us.
Thank you. Come to Laredo.
I like Laredo. I like it.
Senator Bethencourt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McConaughey, you mentioned that it is prime time to do this. Could you elaborate? Why is it prime time?
Okay, it's easier. What's been going on with our mobile devices since they've been around? I talk when at this class I teach at University of Texas to these film students. It's easier now to tell a story than it ever has been. Everyone's got a story right in front of them and the means to tell it right in front of them. I can pull up a pretty good editing bay in my house on my laptop if I want. Just the access of what you can bring to where you are now more than ever for all kinds of businesses, but very much so for film and television. Also, California, which that's where the export of entertainment, the great export of entertainment is coming, doesn't have incentives to compete. I'm not going to get into why or what my feelings on that, but there it is. We make very few films there. The film business is, and television business is in flux, and it's not it's not to take advantage of that it's in flux. It's just to say great stories can be told anywhere, and now you can tell them wherever you want, easier than ever. Texas also has a backdrop of so many different geographies that can be the backdrop for so many different stories that no other state can even match. And we're not utilizing it. So you can find almost everything you want right here in Texas, and no other state can boast that like we can. And it's not being utilized. So let's quit sending postcards and have them come here and shoot and have Texas be the backdrop in every scene for all the diversity in Texas.
Well, thank you for your testimony, and I, as an Aggie, agree with the TSIP, okay? Because it is, right.
I couldn't do it without you.
You got it, right, because two halves to the same coin. But no, I believe that you're correct. There's a flux on the West Coast at this point in time, and I think this bill will take advantage of that, and it just happens to be the right time.
Okay, any other question, members? Alvarado.
Mr. Chairman, you'll this ought to get a rise out of you, but we know Selena Quintanilla was a Tejana from Corpus. You know where her movie was filmed? Movie about her in California, and they have a sign says International Brownsville Bridge, and in the back they've got mountains. Now anybody knows there are no mountains in Brownsville. So just goes to show you how ridiculous this is, and we have a solution. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Lieutenant Governor Patrick for everything you've done in this effort as well. Thank you.
Okay, there are no more questions. Thank you very much, Mr. McConaughey, for your testimony. Great testimony.
Thank you.
And thank you, Woody, for being the wingman.
Yes, sir.
Great wingman.
Co-star.
Yeah.